Welcome back 2016, a humble 1-cent coin rolled off the presses of a United States mint, indistinguishable at first glance from the millions of others that came before it. The coin, small in size and seemingly insignificant in value, bore the familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln on its obverse, just as it had for more than a century. To the untrained eye, it was merely pocket change. Something to be left in a jar, lost in the lining of a purse, or forgotten in the crevice of a couch. Yet, what if this tiny piece of copper and zinc held a secret? What if hidden among the ordinary were a few extraordinary specimens whose stories would propel them into the realm of legend? It begins with a spark of curiosity. A collector, rifling through a handful of loose change at a gas station, notices something odd about one of the coins. It's a 2016 1-cent piece, but the luster is different. It has an unusual tone, a slightly off-center strike, and the edges appear sharper than most circulated coins. At first, the collector dismisses it. But something about the coin clings to his attention. He pockets it and forgets it for a while. Weeks later, while reviewing his finds under magnification, he rediscovers the coin and realizes it might not be ordinary after all. As word spreads among numismatists, speculation begins to swirl. Could there have been an error at the Denver or Philadelphia mint in 2016? Was there a rare die variety, a misstrike, or a transitional planchet used during production? Theories multiply. Some say a batch of coins was mistakenly struck on experimental planchets meant for foreign currencies. Others whisper of secret tests, done in limited quantities, and then quickly covered up. Still others believe that a handful of coins were minted using retired or mismatched dies from earlier years, creating unique hybrids unlike anything else. Coin forums light up. Videos begin appearing on YouTube, showing collectors comparing 2016 cents under microscopes, highlighting doubling on the lettering, unusual ridges, or slightly misplaced mint marks. One video, uploaded by a collector known only as CopperHunter16, showcases a 2016 penny with a dramatic die crack stretching across Lincoln's face. The video goes viral, racking up millions of views in a matter of weeks. People everywhere begin checking their pocket change, hoping to strike it rich. Meanwhile, a major auction house quietly confirms that a 2016 cent, almost uncirculated and bearing an unexplained pattern in its metal composition, has sold in a private sale for over $16 million. The buyer remains anonymous, but rumors point to a European collector with a taste for ultra-rare American coins. Overnight, the story breaks into mainstream media. Headlines scream, 1-cent coin fetches $16 million, ordinary penny hides $1 million secret, and Lincoln cent becomes goldmine. The public reaction is immediate and overwhelming. Coin shops report being flooded with calls. eBay listings for 2016 cents surge, with even common pieces fetching absurd prices. Supermarkets notice coin shortages as people hoard pennies, hoping to discover the next millionaire-making specimen. Children become amateur numismatists, dragging magnifying glasses and flashlights to kitchen tables, hoping to become viral sensations, but the story only deepens from there. A retired mint employee, aged and long silent, decides to speak out. In a rare televised interview, he claims that during a brief window in 2016, a batch of experimental blanks made from a different alloy was used at the Philadelphia Mint. According to him, these blanks were supposed to be melted down, but a clerical error allowed them to be stamped and released into circulation. He doesn't know how many escaped, but he suggests it could be fewer than 20. That the claim is difficult to verify, and the mint refuses to confirm or deny it. But collectors seize upon the lead, analyzing every known 2016 cent for anomalies in weight, tone, and electromagnetic signature. Laboratories become involved, conducting spectral analysis and X-ray diffraction tests. One university lab confirms a trace of silver in a 2016 cents composition, something not seen in decades. The search intensifies. Stories emerge of people cashing in rolls of pennies they had stored for years, only to discover they were sitting on a treasure. A janitor in Kansas finds one of the rare cents inside a school vending machine. A teenager in California finds one in her lunch money and sells it at auction for a life-changing amount. In Mississippi, a woman cleaning out her late grandfather's coin jars discovers 3 mint-condition 2016 cents wrapped in tissue and stored in an old cigar box labeled, "Save these, trust me." Collectors begin traveling across the country, trading tips and secrets like treasure hunters. Online marketplaces become flooded with counterfeiters trying to pass off doctored coins, leading to a surge in authentication services. Coin grading companies experience a boom, receiving tens of thousands of 2016 cents for evaluation. Some are returned as mundane, others are classified as possible rarities. A few are certified as genuine anomalies and immediately placed under tight security, their locations and owners kept confidential. The story captures the imagination of the public, not just because of the coin's monetary value, but because it challenges the perception of worth. How could something so small, so ordinary, hold such massive significance? It becomes a metaphor, a symbol of hidden potential. Schools use the story in economics and history classes. Motivational speakers reference it in speeches. Documentaries are produced, exploring the minting process, the history of the Lincoln cent, and the peculiar circumstances that allowed a handful of copper-clad coins to rise to legendary status. Historians chime in to provide context. They explain that the Lincoln cent, introduced in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, was a groundbreaking coin. It was the first American coin to feature a real person's portrait. Over the decades, the design has evolved, but Lincoln's image has remained, making it one of the most recognized and longest-running designs in coin history. The 2016 cent, therefore, sits within a long and proud tradition. But its uniqueness lies not just in design, but in mystery. The lack of clear documentation, the refusal of the mint to acknowledge errors, and the secrecy surrounding the highest value specimens fuel a culture of intrigue. Researchers scour mint records, hoping to find production notes or internal memos that hint at the anomaly's origin. A few documents are uncovered, redacted and cryptic, suggesting that test strikes and material trials were conducted in early 2016, but no conclusive proof emerges. The myth of the $16 million penny grows. It becomes a cultural artifact. Artists create sculptures inspired by the coin. Musicians write songs about it. A major streaming service greenlights a drama series inspired by the phenomenon, following a fictional family's discovery of a rare 2016 cent and the chaos that ensues. Merchandise floods the market: t-shirts, keychains, mugs bearing the phrase, "Check your change." Years later, the 2016 cent remains a subject of fascination. Some believe the number of rare specimens may be even fewer than originally thought, perhaps only a dozen exist. Each time one is authenticated and surfaces at auction, the price climbs. In one shocking turn, a 2016 cent with clear doubling on both obverse and reverse, graded MS68 Plus by a top grading service, sells for an astounding $19.3 million, setting a new record. For collectors, the 2016 cent represents more than just money. It's a symbol of the thrill of the hunt, the possibility of the miraculous hiding in plain sight. It reminds people to look closer, to question assumptions, to value the overlooked. For the public, it's a story of hope, of how an ordinary person can stumble upon something extraordinary. Children born in 2016 grow up hearing legends about the year of the penny. Some are named Lincoln by parents inspired by the coin. An annual festival is even founded in a small Midwest town, dedicated to penny lore, complete with scavenger hunts, coin grading booths, and reenactments of famous finds. The U.S. Mint, finally acknowledging the cultural moment, issues a commemorative cent years later, featuring a tiny 16 hidden in the design, a nod to the most mysterious cent of the modern era, and so the story lives on. A story about a coin. A coin worth 1 cent. And perhaps, for a lucky few, worth $16 million. But for millions of others, worth so much more in dreams, mystery, and wonder. Next 1991, a modest 1-cent coin was released into circulation, unnoticed by most people who held it in their palms, dropped it into vending machines, or let it sit forgotten in drawers and pockets. Yet decades later, that same coin has become a subject of fascination among collectors and historians, and in an astonishing twist of narrative, some have come to associate it with a fantastical face value of $91 million, a legend born from whispers, misinterpretations, and the collective wonder of a community that thrives on the extraordinary. It all begins in the heart of the United States Mint's operations, where billions of coins are produced with clinical precision, each batch subject to intense quality control, careful engravings, and strict deadlines. The 1-cent coin struck in 1991 was not initially expected to stand out. It bore the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a design that had been in place since 1909, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, used since 1959. But somewhere in the vast quantities produced, anomalies began to surface, small, almost imperceptible differences that would later fuel a wave of curiosity. Collectors began noticing slight doubling on the date or letters, inconsistencies in the weight, or even rare off-center strikes. These weren't everyday coins, they were accidents of production, tiny errors that would soon become prizes. These imperfections were like fingerprints, giving certain 1991 cents a unique identity. While thousands of coins looked just like them, these bore the marks of rarity. And in the world of numismatics, rarity is everything. As decades passed, the fascination with the 1991 penny grew. Some were made of a slightly different composition than expected, zinc cores showing through where they shouldn't, or unusual patinas that hinted at environmental exposures or chemical reactions. A few examples found in uncirculated condition were graded highly by professionals, fetching hundreds and sometimes thousands of dollars at auctions. But the real stir came when a mysterious coin surfaced online, a 1991 1-cent coin listed with a claimed face value of $91 million. The internet buzzed. Was it real? Had the mint secretly produced a promotional coin, a one-of-a-kind artifact? Or was it a misprint, a coin accidentally struck with a fantastical denomination as a prank or error? Photos circulated. Debates erupted in forums. Videos were made analyzing the coin pixel by pixel. Of course, most experts agreed that no such coin with a true $91 million denomination could exist, not officially. But the idea had already taken root, and with it, the legend grew. For some, it became more than just a coin, it was a symbol. A symbol of hidden value, of treasures lost in plain sight. Stories emerged of people finding rare coins in their grandparents' belongings, in couch cushions, or at flea markets. Each story added another layer to the mythos. The 1991 penny was no longer just a copper disc. It had transformed into an icon of hope and curiosity, an invitation to search one's surroundings for magic in the mundane. Meanwhile, historians looked deeper into the background of the 1991 coin. That year was not particularly historic for American currency, but it was a transitional time. The Cold War had ended, technology was booming, and the world was becoming increasingly digitized. In the middle of this shift, coins remained physical tokens of value and tradition, resisting the tide of change. The Lincoln cent represented continuity, solid, dependable, unchanged in a changing world. As time marched on, collectors who had once dismissed modern pennies began to reassess them. The 1991 coin, in particular, had managed to preserve a kind of nostalgic power. Children who had grown up using it now returned to it as adults with fondness. Some began assembling full sets of Lincoln Memorial cents, only to discover how difficult it was to find well-preserved 1991 examples. The market responded accordingly, prices surged for pristine, mint-state versions of the 1991 cent, especially those with unique features, errors, double dies, and off-metal strikes. A few fetched 5 figures at private sales. Then came the stories that ignited a firestorm, unverified claims of a 1-cent coin from 1991 selling for 6 figures, then 7. A rumor spread that a tech billionaire had paid $91 million for a 1991 penny as a statement piece, though no solid evidence ever emerged. Still, the tale was too good not to share, and the coin collecting community embraced it with open arms. The legend was born not just out of the coin's physical traits, but out of the dreams it represented. In a world dominated by digital currency, NFTs, and decentralized finance, the story of a humble penny achieving mythic value felt like a tale of resistance, a David standing tall in a world of Goliaths. And like all great myths, it evolved with each retelling. Some said the coin had hidden markings visible only under ultraviolet light. Others claimed it had been part of a secret minting process tied to a government experiment. A few even connected it to the occult, suggesting that its numerical alignment, 1991 and 91 million, was no accident but a message or signal. The truth didn't matter as much as the allure. It became a cultural artifact, like a modern-day Excalibur, waiting for the right person to discover its secret. As the tale spread, more people began to search their pocket change. Coin shops saw a spike in traffic. Pawn shops started posting signs offering top dollar for rare pennies. The 1991 cent had sparked a modern gold rush, except instead of gold, people were hunting copper and zinc. In YouTube videos and social media posts, coin hunters shared their findings, speculating wildly about what made their coin special. The value of the 1991 penny was now measured not just in dollars but in engagement. Videos featuring it racked up millions of views. People tuned into live streams of roll hunting. The coin became a kind of lottery ticket, accessible, democratic, and thrilling. Anyone could find one. Anyone could get lucky. What made the story endure wasn't the coin's monetary value, it was the emotion behind it. The 1991 cent reminded people that wonder could still be found in everyday objects. That a forgotten item could become a treasure. That in a world of speed and disposability, patience and curiosity could still be rewarded. Even today, the true market value of a 1991 penny varies wildly. Most are worth a single cent, exactly as intended. Some might fetch a few dollars if they're in pristine condition. A rare few, with dramatic errors or exceptional provenance, could sell for hundreds or more. But none of that matters to those who believe in the myth. To them, the face value is $91 million, not because the coin says so, but because the story has made it so. Somewhere out there, a child may find a dusty penny in a parking lot and ask their parents if it's worth anything. And maybe, just maybe, they'll hear about the coin that started it all, the 1991 cent that, through mystery, myth, and memory, came to be worth far more than anyone could have imagined. Not just in currency, but in hope, wonder, and the stories we tell each other to bring magic into the ordinary. That is the true value of the 1991 penny. Next, 1996. The heart of everyday commerce, tucked within the folds of wallets and the forgotten corners of drawers, lies a world often overlooked, a world of coins, modest in appearance yet rich in stories. Among these small metallic storytellers is a particular penny that has sparked intrigue far beyond its size, the 1996 1-cent coin. At first glance, it's just another member of the vast family of Lincoln pennies. But hidden behind its copper-plated shield lies a tale filled with history, rarity, mystery, and a value that some collectors have dared to dream touches an astronomical $96 million in symbolic face worth. The journey of this seemingly ordinary coin is anything but ordinary, and as we dive into its story, the reasons behind its fame, fortune, and fascination begin to unfold like a long-lost treasure map. The 1996 1-cent coin was minted in an era that followed decades of transformation for the humble penny. The Lincoln cent had already undergone several changes since its original debut in 1909. By 1996, the composition had shifted to copper-plated zinc, with copper only thinly veiling the coin's inner metallic reality. But despite the mass production of these coins, hundreds of millions that year alone, a few anomalies slipped through the cracks, coins with slight errors, unique minting quirks, or unusually pristine conditions. These are the coins that transform from pocket change into collectors' dreams, yet what makes the 1996 penny stand apart is not merely its composition or the minting errors it might carry. It's the legend that surrounds it, the whispers in collector forums, the speculative value that seems to defy logic. It starts with the idea of the $96 million face value, not an official valuation, of course, but a narrative, a metaphor, a sensational way of saying this coin could be worth more than just 1 cent in the right hands, at the right moment, with the right story behind it. And it is that story, in all its evolving shapes, that keeps this coin alive in the minds of collectors and storytellers alike. Stories began to circulate of a 1996 penny discovered under the floorboards of an old Virginia home, believed to have been part of a private hoard saved by a retired mint employee. This coin, though seemingly identical to the billions like it, bore subtle differences: a slightly off-center strike, a faint double die on the lettering, and a luster that had somehow survived the years unblemished. Its new owner, a modest coin shop owner, refused to sell despite multiple six-figure offers. Rumors spread that he had received an anonymous call offering a staggering $96 million for the coin, a symbolic gesture that sparked headlines and conspiracy theories in equal measure. Though no such sale was confirmed, the myth took root. Collectors started scouring their change for 1996 pennies. Forums lit up with photos and comparisons, people posting pictures of their finds, hoping they had stumbled upon a rare error or an uncirculated gem. Some claimed their coins had unusual weight discrepancies. Others insisted that certain Denver minted versions had anomalies in the memorial steps of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side. The frenzy turned the 1996 penny into more than currency. It became a quest. Digging deeper, the fascination with this coin can be traced to the broader trends in the numismatic world. Coin collecting had undergone a renaissance by the 1990s, fueled by internet access, online auctions, and a renewed interest in tangible history. The penny, often dismissed as irrelevant in modern commerce, found itself at the center of attention as collectors began to chase not just silver dollars and gold eagles, but every denomination that told a unique story. In that climate, the 1996 penny stood as a prime example, mass-produced, yes, but still capable of hiding extraordinary value in the details. One story that further fueled its fame came from a Midwest man who claimed to have inherited a jar of 1996 pennies from his late father, a former mint inspector. In a local interview, he showed one coin that appeared to be struck on a dime planchet, a freak error where a penny design is accidentally stamped on a blank meant for a different coin. If authentic, such a coin would be worth thousands, if not more. The man said he'd turned down multiple offers and was holding out for a buyer who understood the true symbolic value of the coin. He insisted that, to the right collector, it was worth exactly $96 million. Though experts debated the plausibility of such a number, the story's impact couldn't be denied. The symbolic face value of $96 million became a meme, a rallying cry, a curious detail passed along in coin collecting circles. Every time someone spotted a particularly shiny or oddly marked 1996 penny, the legend grew. Over time, certain known examples of 1996 pennies in uncirculated, high mint state conditions started to sell for increasingly impressive prices. Coins graded MS 67 or higher were fetching hundreds of dollars, and in rare cases where error combinations occurred, such as double die obverse and off-center strike, the prices went even higher. Auction houses noted increased traffic on penny listings, especially those from the mid-1990s, driven by speculative interest and the viral value stories circulating online. The coin's notoriety also began to inspire a different kind of collector, those fascinated by the mythology of money. Artists, writers, and storytellers latched onto the idea of a coin worth $96 million, crafting tales around it, some rooted in speculative fiction, others in quirky historical twists. One short story that gained traction told of a man who found a 1996 penny in a junk drawer and used it as a lucky charm, only to later discover that every decision made with the coin in hand led to unimaginable wealth. Another story painted a darker picture, with the coin cursed to bring its owner immense riches followed by tragedy. these fictional accounts only deepened the coin's allure. What had started as a simple collector's curiosity transformed into a kind of modern-day legend, a symbol of hidden value and the idea that even the most overlooked object can possess unimaginable worth. Museums and private collections also began to pay attention. Several numismatic exhibitions in recent years have showcased high-grade 1996 pennies, often accompanied by storytelling panels that trace the rise of the coin's myth. Visitors are drawn not just to the coin itself, but to the narrative that surrounds it, the combination of history, imagination, economics, and passion. The coin also plays a fascinating role in debates around the future of the penny. As discussions continue about whether the United States should eliminate the 1-cent coin due to rising production costs and diminished use, stories like that of the 1996 penny serve as compelling counterarguments. They remind us that coins are more than monetary tools, they are historical artifacts, cultural symbols, and sometimes, if we're lucky, keys to incredible stories. And so, the journey of the 1996 penny continues, not as a mass-produced object of everyday commerce, but as a singular artifact woven into a tapestry of myths, speculation, and collector passion. Whether or not any single coin from that year will ever command a literal $96 million price tag is beside the point. Its value lies in its ability to captivate, to inspire, and to prove that even the smallest coin can carry the weight of a fortune, not just in money, but in imagination. Every time someone finds a 1996 penny in their pocket, they pause just a moment longer, turn it over slowly, hold it to the light, and wonder. Could this be the one? Could this be the penny with a story worth more than a mountain of gold? That question is what gives the 1996 1-cent coin its legendary status. It's not just currency, it's mystery. It's the dream of finding value where no one else thought to look. It's the heartbeat of every collector's quest. Next, 2014. Upon a time, a small copper-colored coin quietly slipped through the hands of the everyday people, a mere penny in the world's vast ocean of currency. This particular coin bore the date 2014. At first glance, it looked just like any other 1-cent coin, modest and unassuming. But beneath its simple surface was a story so rich in mystery, rarity, and immense value that it would come to command the attention of collectors around the world and stir whispers of a hidden fortune, one that would someday be appraised at a staggering $14 million. In 2014, the United States Mint continued its long-standing tradition of minting the Lincoln cent, a coin that had been in circulation since 1909. With the familiar bust of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Union Shield design on the reverse, the 2014 1-cent coin didn't seem to offer anything extraordinary. Millions were struck and sent into daily use. Yet in this vast mintage, among the countless coins that jangled in pockets, slid through cash registers, and fell between sofa cushions, a handful emerged with characteristics that would change their destinies, and the stories of those who discovered them. These unique coins were not just ordinary cents, they were specimens of a rare and astonishing era. A small batch of the 2014 cents had been accidentally struck on bronze planchets left over from decades prior, a mistake that shouldn't have been possible given the mint's stringent protocols. Since 1982, pennies had been composed mostly of zinc with a thin copper coating. The presence of any solid bronze cents in 2014 was more than unusual, it was an anomaly that bordered on the impossible. How they came to exist remained a matter of speculation. Some believed it was due to leftover blanks somehow being mixed into modern batches, others suspected a deliberate act by an insider with knowledge of coin production and access to materials. The weight of these bronze-struck 2014 pennies was different, just enough to be noticed by a collector with a keen eye and a precision scale. They rang with a slightly different tone when dropped on a table, and their patina aged with a deeper hue. Though to the average person they still seemed like any other penny, to those in the know, they were a golden ticket disguised in copper. The discovery of the first one set the numismatic world ablaze. It was found by a young boy in Ohio who had been saving coins in a jar, a gift from his grandfather who had passed down his lifelong love of collecting. While sorting through his coins on a rainy afternoon, the boy noticed the unusual weight of the 2014 cent and took it to a local coin shop. The shop owner initially dismissed it, until his equipment confirmed the composition. The coin was soon authenticated by a professional grading service and dubbed the Copper Ghost. News of the discovery spread rapidly across forums, collector groups, and coin conventions. Other rare 2014 bronze cents began to surface, each with its own story. One was found in the back of a dusty drawer in an old Chicago hardware store. Another was discovered by a schoolteacher in Texas who used spare change for a science experiment. One particularly notable specimen was discovered in a car wash vacuum coin trap in Arizona, clinging to a tangle of paper clips and lint that as the rarity and historical intrigue grew, so did the value. Initially estimated in the thousands, then hundreds of thousands, the price for a pristine 2014 bronze penny at auction broke the $1 million mark within a few short years. But one coin stood out above the rest, a flawless specimen with sharp details, zero wear, and a rich, untouched luster. It was described as a cent born in the wrong century, and was eventually sold at a private auction for a jaw-dropping $14 million. The buyer remained anonymous, rumored to be a tech billionaire with a private vault of rare coins and historic artifacts. The seller, a retired postal worker from rural Kentucky, had found the coin in his change after buying a coffee and a newspaper at a gas station. The sudden windfall changed his life forever, but what he valued most wasn't the money. It was the story of how something so small and overlooked could contain such immense worth. The lore of the 2014 1-cent coin didn't end there. It sparked renewed interest in modern-era coins, with collectors scouring rolls of pennies in search of overlooked treasures. Coin shows began hosting special panels and presentations on the 2014 anomaly, and professional graders reported a surge in 1-cent coin submissions for evaluation. As demand surged, counterfeiters tried to replicate the look and weight of the bronze coins, but none could match the metallurgical fingerprints of the originals. Historians began researching how the mix-up might have happened. Some speculated that the bronze planchets came from a forgotten storage room at the mint, where older blanks had sat undisturbed since the early 1980s. A former mint employee claimed to have heard stories about an old machine in the back of the Philadelphia facility that had been sealed off due to outdated technology. He suggested that someone might have run a small batch of coins on it as a tribute to the past or as a farewell to an era. But no official records confirmed this, and the mint remained tight-lipped, neither confirming nor denying the origins of the bronze cents. In the years following, documentaries, articles, and books were published chronicling the rise of the 2014 bronze cent. It became a symbol not only of rarity and error, but of wonder, the idea that hidden treasures can still exist in plain sight. Parents began encouraging their children to check their change, and classrooms used the coin as a case study in economics and probability. Museums added displays dedicated to the penny, with interactive exhibits explaining minting processes and the art of coin detection. The ripple effects of the 2014 1-cent coin even reached pop culture. A fictionalized version appeared in a detective television series, where the coin was a central clue in a thrilling heist. A children's animated movie introduced a talking penny who dreamed of being recognized for his hidden worth, loosely inspired by the real-life 2014 legend. Songs, memes, and internet challenges followed, encouraging people to look more closely at the little things in life. As time passed, the number of confirmed 2014 bronze cents remained incredibly low, fewer than 10 had ever been authenticated. Each one carried a name, a story, and a trail of amazed appraisers and wide-eyed collectors. They were stored in climate-controlled safes, displayed at major conventions under thick glass and constant watch, and insured for millions. The value of these coins, while initially tied to their rarity and error, became compounded by the cultural impact they had generated. Collectors weren't just buying metal, they were buying a piece of modern numismatic folklore. They were acquiring a symbol of possibility, a reminder that fortune favors the observant. In the great halls of coin lore, the 2014 1-cent bronze era would take its place beside the legendary 1943 copper penny, the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, and the $1,804. It taught the world that even in an era of digital transactions and disposable currency, the magic of coin collecting still thrived, and so the penny, once dismissed as virtually worthless, lived on as a $14 million legend. A simple coin, minted in a modern age, born of a mysterious error, and elevated by the curiosity and passion of those who refused to ignore the details. In every jar of change, in every pocketful of forgotten coins, hope lingered, that maybe, just maybe, another miracle cent was waiting to be found.